Pretty cool, isn't it? Apparently they did that in about a week and a half. Paint it, spray paint it. Pretty impressive. It's got all of the rats' icons, the Arch of Victory, the lion from the lake, the tram. It's pretty cool. Situation normal. Bloody freezing. I think we'd be lucky to be pressing 12 degrees at the moment, and it's January 2024 as I go for my morning walk just before the rat really wakes up. Going up one of the steep hills at the moment, running parallel to the main city strip, and just going in hunt of coffee, and we're gonna, once I find that from hopefully my favourite spot, if they're open, we'll talk some more. And on a side note, who plants bloody palm trees in a regional town known for its freezing weather? I mean, seriously, Ballarat, get a grip. Look closely and you'll see our Chinese library. Somehow the Chinese managed to purchase, I think, one of our more historical buildings in Ballarat. Ballarat's known for the birth of our work hours and pretty much democracy as we know it to a certain extent. Obviously others have influenced it, but the Eureka Rebellion was renowned for its historical influence on our current democratic system. So I was going to do a walk and talk in Ballarat this morning. It's way too cold. It's very winter-like. I've got 2 layers on. I tried doing something just after I grabbed my coffee this morning. It was just too cold. So here I am sitting in a park just down the road from where I live. And I just thought I'd do a quick one before I go back home to edit for the day. And I didn't have anything planned really, other than maybe just some general disclaimers before I even start this channel properly. You know, I've been content writing and editing since 2012 for various organisations, websites. You know, I've had peaks and troughs. It's a feast or famine career. If you know, anyone that's in the writing or arts industry, it's a feast or famine career. One minute you're making a heap of money and the next you're struggling for work. Thankfully I've got a stable job now with an academic publisher. But I wanted to, before the last few years, when I was writing and when I was researching, I'm very big on research. It's part of my academic background. I used to have no problem retaining information. I could retain information from 20 years ago and connect the dots. That was my job, was to research, connect the dots, analyse content, and then rewrite. That's how I made my living. And, you know, for some of you, you probably already know that I also have a daytime job, which I've given up for the most part. I did have to return to it late last year, being feast or famine with the writing and editing. But it was a job I loved and I still love. I'm helping people. I work for an emergency service that people depend on for their health. That's all I can say, really. On social media with contracts. But I'd been with them for 13 years, and when this whole big cough came along a few years ago, and we were forced to get the whole, and we were coerced. It was that or you would lose your job. And I'm a single parent with 3 kids. So, and I, initially I had to do it. I didn't want to. I had to do it for the sake of my kids, for the sake of keeping a roof over our heads. So when people say that you're not forced, you're forced. If you're a parent, you're forced. You have no choice. Your first priority is to look after your children, not yourself. So I am angry about it, but I did get it. And ever since basically that week, I've developed one of the most severe B12 deficiencies that you could get. And I know I look healthy, and now it's under control. No thanks to any professional. I sorted it out over 3 years with my own research and trial and error. But the one thing that my B12 deficiency has affected is my memory. And joining the dots is incredibly difficult for me now, unless it's written down in front of me. Doing this talk about something that's personal is difficult for me because I can't retain knowledge like I used to. It takes a long time for me to retrieve my short-term memories because of the deficiency. And that is a hallmark of B12 deficiency, is that you can lose your memory or it becomes very foggy. 12 months ago, I would not have been able to do this. Not a hope. I struggled to string things together. I lost my ability as a writer to spell basic 3-letter words. That's how severe it was. So it's a disclaimer that if I lose my train of thought, because I don't want to run off a script, I want to be organic, I want to be honest with you. If I lose my train of thought, it's generally because of the deficiency. I am getting better. I have sorted it out through diet. Diet was a huge factor with it. I started increasing my meat intake, which has B12, but it's limited. Fruit, veg. I make sure I exercise at least 3 times a day to get the blood flow going. And along with the B12 deficiency was a state of chronic inflammation as well. So since I've discovered that, and that's only been recent, that was only since coming back from my last European trip, because the Europeans eat a lot healthier than us in Australia. They have legislations in place that prevent certain chemicals in food that we don't have here, particularly with your GMO wheats and stuff. So it wasn't until about 18 weeks ago that I decided to cut out, and this sounds drastic, but I cut out gluten, I cut out all forms of wheat, I cut out 98% of my caffeine intake. That's incredibly hard. That is so addictive, isn't it, guys, is coffee. I cut out sugar completely. I cut out, what was the other one? Carbohydrates. Since I've cut out all those things, and I mean cut out like nothing, all I have is meat and vegetable, or meat and veg, or eggs, or, I can't even drink milk, cow's milk. But since cutting all of that out, my inflammation's come down by about 90%. I've lost 12 kilos. That was in fluid from the inflammation, so I discovered. And my B12 deficiency has all but resolved. Now, I did, being an academic editor of science journals, I did stumble across how caffeine blocks the B12 receptors, if I'm getting that right. So if you take too much caffeine in, you don't actually absorb the B12 from your diet that you need to absorb to maintain a healthy level. So that was why I cut out caffeine. Not that I managed to reduce my caffeine intake. I was a shift worker, so for all my life, so I've always had ridiculous amounts of caffeine. But I managed to cut that down to from one large cup in the morning to a very small one every 2, 3, sometimes 5 days. Sometimes I'll go a week or so without. Now, when I go without caffeine, there's no inflammation and my memory is razor sharp as well. So that definitely has something to do with this B12 deficiency that I've developed. But I just wanted to get that out there, that if I lose my train of thought, which I'm starting to lose now as we speak, it's because of that. It's frustrating. It's really, really, really frustrating as a writer to not be able to, and a researcher particularly, not being able to, I know I've got that information in my brain somewhere, but not being able to unlock it is just, does my head in. And I know what caused it. There's no two ways about it. I was fine. I remember having a blood test before all of this crap happened. And considering my age, which I'm not going to disclose, but considering my age, the doctor at the time his words were healthy as a horse. There was nothing wrong with me. There was no inflammation markers, zero wrong with me. And I got that blood test because I was starting a new job at a publishing house, and I just wanted to make sure I was good. So I didn't let him down. But that was a part-time job. Anyway, that was short-lived because of the lockdowns. Hence why I stayed at the other job that coerced me. But it was literally a week after that I developed this, and it just progressively got worse. Stupid me got the second one. Then I left and I worked from home as an editor, managed to find this academic job that I'm currently in. But unfortunately, the recession's hit, and even scientists are having a tough time getting funding for their theses and research. So anyway, working my butt off to try and get as many contracts as I can, because I just feel like it's coming. There's something else coming. Don't you feel that? They're gearing up for something else, and it's not just paranoia. Now, I'll let you in on a secret too. In this emergency job that I've got, emergency services, it was about 4 or 5 months ago that the supervisor came around and was asking everyone if they'd had prior military service. I refused to state what my background was, because I do have a variety of backgrounds in service. But they were documenting it. And the only reason this particular workplace would document it is to shore up the statistics of how many workers they would have to continue running emergency services, to make sure they've got enough people if the time came. that those that were in the military, and there's a lot of ex-military there, if they would have to drop stuff and go and serve. And you couple that with, excuse my hand for a sec, you couple that with a friend of mine who's based in North Queensland now, who was ex-military, and apparently the base in Seymour is running on a skeleton crew. I don't know how true that is. If you know about it, comment below. Tell me if you're working on a skeleton crew, because most were sent up north. And I also have a cousin whose stepson was called up north to do all this emergency fencing as a contractor, and wasn't meant to disclose anything, very quickly for the military bases, which are expanding apparently. So I don't know, but I feel like something's coming, especially for Australia. It's just this sense of things. You get that instinct, don't you? And I know that they were trying to recruit at the high schools, because my boys last year were forced to go to an assembly, pulled out of class to discuss their career options with the military recruiters in the gym. And they weren't allowed to refuse to go. They had to go. It was compulsory. There was nothing sent home. There was no mention of it. It was just pull them out of class with no notice. And they were made to talk to the Army and the Navy, and I think the Air Force was there too, to recruit. Not cool. Really not cool. I was really pissed about it. I'm not having my boys go to the military and serve this bloody government. Not with the state the country is in at the moment, run by... Anyway, I wasn't going to get onto that. Like I said, this was just a disclaimer of what's going on with me and my health. If anyone else has got a B12 deficiency after the whole, or even just in general, drop it in the comments if you want me to talk about my journey back to health. And it's such a far cry from what I was last year. I was so sick. No one really knew, but I was so sick. And the chronic inflammation was just making me so miserable. But I'm better now. To the point that in about 16 weeks, I'm going on a 5-week holiday overseas to countries I've never been to before, mostly. And I'll document it and I'll take it. And who knows, I might meet some of you on the way over there. And, I just feel so much better. Anyway. So before we get into it, and let me know what you want me to document as well. Like this channel is just going to be general. I'll do a lot of writing, and my writing process is in the book that I'm writing now called The Rotation. Stuff like that, as well as, just show you around Australia and the landscapes, because I do travel a lot. I hate sitting still. I struggle with it. So let me know what you want to see more of, or what you would prefer to see. I might do some writing classes as well. And yeah, until next time, like, share, subscribe if you like it. Let me know any suggestions in the comments below, and I'll catch you soon.